Hello, this is Yogeshwar 7000 again, and I'm back with another very interesting topic on Vedic astrology. And today we'll be talking about an important topic. You will call it probably negative, but it's about death and how a person can die. And there are various, and we're all very, very concerned to know about a person's death because of course, you know, there are several tasks to be accomplished, so everybody wants to know what his longevity is. There could be other reasons that, you know, it could be a child suffering from, you know, some kind of fatal disease, or even, you know, at any age you could be suffering from a fatal disease, or you just want to know, you know, if a person has gotten into some kind of an accident, his longevity. In general terms, you would like to know about longevity. And as we know that longevity and the kind of death a person will have has been already predetermined by God, and that's readable through the birth chart, Vedic birth chart, and there are tools and techniques given to us by the ancient sages. And you know, you can look at it through the second house, the seventh house, the planet Saturn. If you look at my earlier videos about Maraka planets, you know, you'll get some more idea about as to what a person's longevity is, what are the planets which are Maraka planets or death-inflicting planets for him, or how a person can die, and what is the way a person is going to die. I mean, well, is he going to die of a normal death, or whether, you know, he'll have a tough death, a very difficult death, so on and so forth. What planets are out there to, you know, Maraka or death inflicting for him, and we've discussed that in detail. And Saturn forms a very important planet as far as death of a person is concerned, other than the Maraka planets, of course. So today we'll be talking about a specific case, a specific sutra. And before we can get into that, like I said, you know, there could be certain other examples as to why, as astrologers, we need to know the type of a person's death, other than the fact that, you know, we're curious to know. There are conspiracy theories which are connected with deaths of several celebrities and big personalities where we don't even know how they died. Like you think of Marilyn Monroe, you know, there's always a confusion about her death, how she died, whether she was poisoned or whether she took an overdose of drugs or medicines, or how did she die. So people have all kinds of theories and they've not come up to a final conclusion. Another name that comes to my mind is the Prime Minister of India, who died years ago in Russia, and it was told by the Russian authorities that he died because of, I think, heart failure or a heart attack or a cardiac arrest, but there are conspiracy theories around that. And lately, the death of Sunanda Pushkar, people who are familiar with who Sunanda Pushkar is. And also there's another little story about a 13-year-old girl. Her name was Arushi Talwar, a 13-year-old kid who died under mysterious circumstances. And of course the authorities have all, you know, done their investigations, and still there's a mystery surrounding so many people's death. So as astrologers, it becomes very important to us to come forward and, you know, try to analyze the birth chart and try to figure out as to what's the likelihood how the person would have died. So that's why, you know, the kind of death a person will have becomes very important. And there are various techniques and tools to determine that, and I'm not going to get into that because there's a limitation of time as far as this video is concerned. But astrologers have found out techniques, and they've been pretty accurate, you know, like they've done researches and they've explained, you know, various personalities, how they died and why they died and what's the role of planets in it. So today we'll be talking about a sutra given to us by the great sage Jaimini. and this sutra explains as to how a person will die in terms of a very specific way of death, which is death by poisoning. So he's talking about Vish Bhakshana yoga, meaning which death by poisoning. Vish in Sanskrit means poison, and Bhakshana means eating. So it has to be connected with either administering him poison in his food, because of which the person will die. So he's not talking about just administering of poison or eating of poison where a person survives. He's very clearly mentioned death due to poisoning. Okay, and the sutra which he has mentioned here, it's called, I'll read it in Sanskrit, but it is Shaninam Vishbhakshanadi. Shaninam Vishbhakshanadi. So he is, and this little sutra is connected with his other sutras, and this is an extension of his sutra. So where he has pinpointed the planet Saturn in connection with the poisoning of a person by eating. So either he has eaten poison himself, or poison has been administered to him in his food or any other, eatable. And in today's day and age, it can be considered to be like a poisonous injection as well. And more likelihood, somebody has given him poison because of which he died. It's less likelihood of the situation of suicide, whereas he has consumed poison to die. But you can relate it to that as well. But according to Vishbhakshan, it's clear that it is death because of eating of poison, and he has related the planet Saturn directly to this situation. And this little sutra, by the way, is connected with the other sutras. So in this little sutra, he has just explained the role of Saturn in this. And as we know, in my earlier videos on longevity and Maraka planets, death-inflicting planets, the sages have said that along with the Maraka and the death-inflicting planets, Saturn has a very important role anyways. And however, the sages have mentioned more poison. The connection of poison is more related to the planet Rahu and Ketu, because they are the snake. The head of the snake is represented by Rahu, and the tail of the snake is represented by Ketu. So a role of Saturn, he has mentioned, Sage Gemini has mentioned the role of Saturn in poison in this shloka or sutra. But at the same time, we know that Rahu and Ketu also have a big role as far as poison is concerned. And even Lal Kitab, the recent study on astrology by Lal Kitab astrologers, who explain Saturn having both Rahu and Ketu in its body. And Saturn has been described as having Rahu as the head and Ketu as the tail. So there's a connection there as far as poison is concerned with Saturn. That's the point I'm trying to make here. But this sutra is specifically talking about Saturn. So what this great sage Gemini has mentioned, that look at where the Atma Karaka is placed in the birth chart, in the Rashi chart. Find out and then see where it is placed in the Navamsha chart. So look at where the Atma Karaka, which you can figure out from the Rashi chart, and people who are not familiar with Atma Karaka, they can refer to my earlier videos on Atma Karaka, and then look at where Atma Karaka is placed in the Navamsha chart, and that place where the Atma Karaka is placed in the Navamsha chart is called the Karakamsha. And then look at the Lord of the zodiac sign where the Atma Karaka is placed in the Navamsha chart. Okay, and once you figure out that zodiac sign, look at the 8th house from that zodiac sign, and in case Saturn is placed there, once again take the Atmakaraka, find out the Atmakaraka from the Rashi chart, see where it is placed in the Navamsha chart, that is called the Karakamsa, and see where the Lord of that Rashi or the Karakamsa is situated, and count 8 houses from that. Lord of the Karakamsa, not the Karakamsa, Lord of the Karakamsa. And count 8 houses from that. And in case Saturn is placed there, then a person will die because of Vishbhakshan, meaning which eating of poison. Like I said, it could be considered injection, poisonous injection in today's day and age, but let's not consider that. Let's just go to what the Sutra or the Shloka says. Vishbhakshan, eating of poison, and the person will die. So it's not as if he survived or he'll be given poison. The death will occur because of poison in his food, or he's eaten poison. It's either himself or somebody else may have given him. So let's test the accuracy of this sutra given to us by the great sage Jaimini. So the birth chart you see on the screen is of Swami Dayananda Saraswati, and Swami Dayananda Saraswati was born, as we know that he was a great spiritual figure. He founded the Arya Samaj in India, and he was extremely famous, and he was born, and by the way, this birth chart has been confirmed to be accurate by astrologers, Vedic astrologers. So this is an accurate birth chart which you see on screen. And he was born on February the 28th, 1825. The time was 13 hours and 30 minutes. And the longitude and latitude were 71 degrees east and 22 degrees north. So that's where he was born. And this is his birth chart and his Navamsha chart next to it, if you see on the screen. And we all know that he died because of poison being administered to him by the chef or the cook who prepared his food on the instructions of somebody. And there are accusations against the king of Varanasi, whom he was a guest to, and there are several reasons why he was administered poison. We're not getting into that, but it's a confirmed fact that he died of poison in his food. Okay, so let's test the accuracy of this sutra given to us by the great sage Jaimini. And of course, we are not getting into other charts like the conspiracy theories of Marilyn Monroe, because I mean, it's a theory that she was poisoned, but we don't know. It's not confirmed yet. There's a theory where it's said that, or it's believed by some, that Lal Bahadur Shastri was poisoned, but we are not sure of that. It's believed, or there is a theory, or there are people who believe that Sunanda Pushkar may have been poisoned, but we are not sure of that. So we are not sure of those things, so we'll not discuss their chart. But here we are discussing the chart of Swami Dayananda Saraswati, because it's recorded in history that his food was poisoned by his chef, and because the chef later on confessed to doing that, he asked for pardon from Swami Dayananda Saraswati. So that's another story. We'll not get into that, but it's recorded in history that Swami Dayananda Saraswati was poisoned, and he died as a result of that. So let's look at his chart and see the accuracy of this chart. So here you can see the main chart on the left, which is the natal chart. His Atma Karaka is Mercury, okay, based on the time and the date I've given you. His Atma Karaka is Mercury. So where is his Atma Karaka placed in the Navamsha? It is placed in the 7th house, you can see here. Now look at the Lord of the 7th house. So the Lord of the 7th house in this case is Mercury itself. So it is placed in the 7th house. So we're going to count it from the 7th house itself. If if the lord of the seventh house, where the Atmakaraka is placed, or where the Karakamsha is, was placed in some other house, then we would have calculated it from that house. But here, coincidentally, that Atmakaraka in the Navamsha is placed in its own sign. So we are going to count the lord of the Karakamsa, which is Mercury here, and we'll count 8 places from here. So if you count 8 places from where Mercury is placed, you see the planet Saturn sitting, and that confirms this sutra of, in case the lord of the Karakamsa, or the lord of the house, or the lord of the zodiac sign where the Atmakaraka is placed in the Navamsha, from there, if you count 8 places, if Saturn is placed, then a person dies because of eating poison. Okay, and that has been confirmed here to this sutra. So what I'm trying to get at is that, you know, it's very hard to go and research ancient scriptures and test it. And of course, we've just tested it on a few charts, but this shows how accurate our ancient sages were. You see a lot of nonsense going on in the internet today, where, you know, people just come to conclusions based on a few books. You know, self-proclaimed astrologers who keep saying that, okay, well, you know, I have a library of so many books, and, you know, I've read. So what happens is they're not going to the scriptures, they're not going and testing it from the scriptures. I mean, I'm not saying all of them do that, many of them do that as well, but many of the astrologers just read it out of books written recently by other astrologers. So one thing gets copied to the another, and then the second gets copied to the third, and the third gets copied, and it's all cut and paste, copy and paste all over the internet, all over what the books are being printed in astrology today. So my recommendation to all is go to the basics, go to the ancient scriptures and try to test it yourself. It's going to be a lot of hard work though, but then at least you'll save yourself from all this nonsense. So we just tested this little sutra given to us by the great sage in Germany on Vishabhakshan, or poison of the food, because of which, or eating poison, because of which a person's death had been predetermined based on his birth chart. So it was, everything has been predetermined by God, you know. Even the great Chanakya said that a person's destiny, how long he's going to live, what he'll do, where he'll marry, how many kids he'll have, everything is predetermined while he's in the mother's womb. So God has a plan for us, no doubt about it, but there are ways for us to figure out and find out, and this way, you know, we can also test the accuracy of the ancient scriptures here. So hopefully you did enjoy this little video on this little sutra given to us by the great sage, and we tested it as far as a very specific kind of death. It's not a very pleasant kind of a death, but it has been mentioned that in this sutra. And of course, if you look at the birth chart, you know, Rahu is another poisonous planet placed in his 7th house in the main Rashi chart. But but another very interesting thing I would like to tell you is that he died, and that's also very important. He died in his Dasha, and that's what has to be determined. He died in October of 1883. Exact death is somewhere in October. I have that exact date, but it is in October, and I tested that, of 1883. And in the month of October of 1883, he was going through his sub period of Saturn. So see, Saturn, of course, as per the sutra, it's been confirmed that was responsible for poison in his food, because of which he died, and he was going through his Ketu, Venus and Saturn Dasha at that time in October of 1883 when he died. Okay, so his sub period started on the 3rd of October 1883. It continued until December, and he died in October of 1883. I'm forgetting the date, but he died. You can test it. It's probably available on the internet. And he was in his Ketu Venus Saturn Dasha. So Saturn here is also confirming that yes, Saturn was responsible for that poison which was administered to him in his food. So hopefully you enjoyed this little video on Vedic astrology, on this little sutra, on the kind of a specific death given to us by the great sage Jaimini. And meanwhile, I will recommend subscribe to my channel, check out my website. There is a link below. And I will see you with an interesting topic on Vedic astrology very soon. Goodbye.